Hi there, this is Ronnie coming at you with a video. Intriguing conversation that I had this afternoon on the YouTube RPG Facebook page. Talking about video content and getting into a debate which pretty much ended on a we'll agree to differ. With someone who was pretty much exalting the idea that people should play to the camera when doing games, or when they're playing games, when you're playing games, be mindful of the fact that you have an audience. And I'm not sure that works. I'm sure some people can get away with it. I think for me, and I may be the only one, there may be others as well, it doesn't work, and I'll explain why I feel this way. There's really two problems that I have. One is the notion of people hamming it up and basically mugging for the camera. I don't want people going large with performances around a gaming table. It can cause a huge imbalance. And if everyone's doing it, then, you know, it just completely imbalances a game, in my opinion. I don't want people, you know, giving it big for a performance. The other thing is, and I can only speak for myself, other people may be different, so I can only speak for myself. I've played games over Google Hangouts. If I can get this bloody computer to work properly with Google Hangouts, I'll still be part of that Warhammer game. But at the moment, you know, it's kind of fighting me. But if you're playing a game of, you know, over Google Hangouts, or you're playing a game, when I'm playing, I have to forget that the camera's on. And I don't mean my camera. I mean the fact that we're being recorded, the fact that we're being watched live. I have to forget that. I could only play if, you know, I forget that we're live, I forget that we're being watched. To be honest, I forget that we're going to be watched afterwards. In fact, I can only do these videos because, even though I know I'm uploading them, I can only do these videos because I'm talking to myself, essentially, because I'm looking at my, you know, the image of me in my camera. I'm talking to myself in a way that I couldn't talk like this in a room full of people. In the same way that if I were in a group and there was an audience, I would get very introverted. I'm doing a game at a gaming cafe. I'm actually running a game at a gaming cafe. And the only way I can do that is being absolutely focused on that table. I shut the entire world off. It's the only way to do it for me. If I thought that people were watching, if I felt their eyes on me, I would shrink. So for me, thinking about the audience would be detrimental. Moreover, a couple of people have made the point that you put out the very best, you bring your A game, you bring everything else. And, you know, you do the very best, you're totally focused in character and all the rest of it. And there is some truth and some validity to that argument. I think, however, there is a possible negative on that. And that is, we might end up looking so in trying to look, in trying to be for the audience the very best, we might actually put off people. I remember a friend of mine decided to run a game for the first time. And he was running a game for quite experienced players. So he decided to give everyone mid-level characters. It was a Palladium Fantasy role-playing game, so there was about 5th, 6th, 7th level, because it goes up to 15, although you can multi-class. So we were all about 5th, 6th, 7th level. And the reason he did that is because he thought that, given the experience, he would have to be this incredible GM and provide this incredible scenario. Or his players wouldn't appreciate it, wouldn't be interested. And I think if we are showing perfection, we run the risk of maybe putting people off who might be interested, but upon seeing all this focus, all this perfection, might be put off. They might be scared away. They might think it's too much. Whereas, I think if you just put a camera in a corner and just, so that it's not imposing, it's not intruding on the game, but just filming a game as it happens. The players are not playing to the camera. They're playing the game. There will be moments where the game might sag. There may be moments where someone will crack some joke and we'll go off on a tangent. But part of what makes this hobby great, part of what makes our hobby fantastic, is this notion that it's a social hobby. And if we're going to sell this hobby as something great for people to do, which I think it is, I think we should show it. We should show this hobby, warts and all. Show the downtime, show the game sag, show the bits where people aren't quite immersed in character. Show the bits where somebody says some comedy line, you end up laughing your head off for the next 5-10 minutes until somebody goes, right, let's get back to the game. Show that it's social, it's fun, it's inventive, it's enjoyable, it's all those things. I think if we sanitize it and try and smooth off the rough edges, we try and I said androgynous at some point. I think, it's just this idea of it being so sterilized, and I think we'd lose something in that. I think we would lose some of the reality of a real game. And if we're going to sell this hobby and show people why we're involved in it, part of that, surely, for me at least, is showing the reality of our hobby. And the reality is there are times when we sit there and we just take the piss. There are times we sit there and we have a laugh. There are times that we sit there and we go off on tangents. We might suddenly break into a 10-minute monologue about some film we just watched, till the GM finally sort of cracks a whip and says, right, come on, get back to this. It's part of the conversation, it's part of the natural flow of a game that sometimes it will go off on funny tangents, or the players will go off on funny tangents. I like the imperfections. Yes, you want the gaming to be great, but part of the game is the social aspect, and we need to show that, so that people who have never played a role-playing game can look at it and not see some sanitized, sterilized perfection, but see that it's a great fun hobby that anyone can get involved in. You don't have to be Shakespearean in your acting creds. You don't have to be some super intelligent, evolved person to play an RPG. You can just get in there and game, and it's great, and it's fun, and it's funny, and it can be weird and eccentric and strange and hilarious and scary and exciting, and it can be all of these things. But that includes the rough edges. We need them, folks. If we're going to show the hobby, we need to show it all. Not in everything that happens in the game. So I would say, if people are going to make gaming videos, don't think about, me personally, don't think about mugging up to the camera. Think about showing, if you're going to show the audience anything, just sit there with your friends and play. Just forget the camera's there and just play. The rough edges make the game as much as the high moments, because it's all about the fun of the game. If we lose that, we run the risk of making our hobby look overly elitist, that it's not for everyone. That certain people who may have otherwise have come into this hobby may be scared off because of an intensity, a sort of faux intensity, quite frankly, of performing to the audience. I know it's probably controversial for me to say all this, but you know, I'm 44, I'm old, I'm not as old as some, I'm old and, you know, or older, and I'm just, I love my hobby too much to see it sterilized into this sort of faux eliteness. I want to see great gaming. Game I'm playing on Google Hangouts at the moment is fun, it's great, and you know what's, as much as the high points and the drama and everything else, see the moments where we're all just laughing our fucking heads off. That's as much a part of the game as anything, and I wouldn't want that taken out. It's got to be there, folks. It all has to be there. So that's my view on this. As I say, maybe controversial, but got to take the rough with the smooth. That's how I feel. So those are my opinions on this, and I'll be back soon with another video.